Welcome back. Today we will journey into the complex character of Simon from William Golding's Lord of the Flies. In this lesson, we will be examining his role as a beacon of virtue amidst the chaos. Unlike the other boys on the island, Simon remains untainted by the moral corruption that engulfs them. We'll explore how Simon's semi-divine, prophetic nature and his tragic sacrificial murder echo profound religious symbolism, positioning him as a Christ-like figure. By the end of this lesson, we will have explored 3 different examples of Simon's virtuous nature, and you'll understand how Simon serves as a moral compass in the story, and how his untimely death marks a turning point, plunging the novel deeper into darkness. Let's begin. Simon's indiscriminate compassion for others is evidence of his non-judgemental disposition, a quality of kindness that is proven to be a rarity in the novel. In Chapter 4, the boys are gathered to eat the meat from a pig that Jack and his hunters have killed. Piggy, who is often marginalized and mistreated by the other boys, has not been given any meat by Jack. In response, Ralph stirred uneasily. Simon, sitting between the twins and Piggy, wiped his mouth and shoved his piece of meat over the rocks to Piggy, who grabbed it. Golding sets Simon apart in the moral lucidity of his conscience. Whereas Ralph merely stirs uneasily, Simon shares his food with Piggy. His ethical principles remain the most resolute out of all of the boys, who increasingly focus only on their own survival. This moment highlights Simon's unique, virtuous nature in a group where kindness is becoming increasingly rare. Another way that Golding illuminates Simon's virtue is through his interactions with nature, which stand in sharp contrast to the aggressive and exploitative attitudes of the hunters. Simon frequently seeks solace and clarity of thought in the forest, something that the other boys avoid. In the narrative, Golding writes, "He came at last to a place where more sunshine fell. The whole space was walled with dark, aromatic bushes and was a bowl of heat and light. A great tree, fallen across one corner, leaned against the trees that still stood, and a rapid climber flaunted red and yellow sprays right to the top." This rich description of Simon's haven in the forest reflects his gentleness and innate goodness. Golding conjures an image of a welcoming and nurturing environment, laced with heat and light, which aligns with Simon's serenity and the strength of his inner character. This starkly contrasts with the hostile and harmful ways the other boys engage with the forest. The forest, like Simon, is a beacon of tranquility and purity amidst the escalating chaos and immorality, serving as a symbolic and literal retreat for Simon. As the story progresses, the loss of Simon and his peaceful sanctuary in the forest signifies the final descent into darkness and violence. Finally, another key trait is Simon's selflessness. This characteristic is profoundly demonstrated when he bravely takes the task of confronting the supposed beast alone. A pivotal moment from the text that encapsulates this is when the narrator describes, "He pushed on, staggering sometimes with his weariness but never stopping. The usual brightness was gone from his eyes and he walked with a sort of glum determination like an old man." Despite the mounting physical challenges of this task, Simon presses on. He faces the pain and the fatigue in the pursuit of truth, evident in Golding's use of a lexical field of words associated with fatigue and exhaustion, such as staggering, weariness, and glum. This, coupled with the simile "a sort of glum determination like an old man," paints a vivid picture of Simon's ordeal, likening his struggle to that of an elderly man defying his age and frailty. This instance of self-sacrifice illustrates another facet of Simon's virtue, underlining his willingness to place the well-being of others before his own. And that brings us to the end of today's lesson. We explored the character of Simon in Lord of the Flies, focusing on his role as a beacon of virtue. We examined Simon's compassion, demonstrated through his empathetic actions towards others. We also looked at how his interactions with nature, contrasting with the other boys' aggressive attitudes, highlights his innate goodness. Finally, we discussed Simon's selflessness, showcased by his determination to confront the supposed beast despite physical challenges. Simon's Christ-like qualities and tragic death underscore his role as the moral compass of the story, marking a pivotal moment that plunges the novel into deeper darkness. Remember to keep revising this lesson and see you next time.